Hey everyone, good morning. Morning, folks. Guys, just give me a few minutes. My iPad went on an update screen and it's stuck there. I'll not be able to start the session if the iPad does not work. So it's currently on the update screen and it's stuck for the last 30 minutes. It's stuck on that screen. Trying to figure out if I can restart it or not. Just give me a few more minutes. Um, like I'm trying to fix it. Just give me 5 minutes more, okay? 5 more minutes. I'll give you guys an update. 5 minutes. Hey everyone, good morning, good evening. So it's done. Let me quickly get started. Just a minute. Let me share my screen. Please let me know if you're able to see my screen. Can you see my screen? Is everyone back? Is that not back? Is everyone here? Everybody? Yes, no? Okay, awesome. So Mustaq, actually, a lot of people wanted white, but a lot of people wanted black. I thought this is the middle ground, neither black nor white. So that's why I thought let's end the debate and let's go with neither white nor black. Okay, awesome. Usually the text is not good. Okay, just give me 1 minute. Just a minute. Open the. Okay. ठीक है. Let's try today. Like, are you guys able to read things on this background? Yes, no? Can I get a yes or no from all of you? Yes, no from everybody. Okay, cool. I'll try to make the text more bigger and all so that readability is better. Okay. Chalo, let's get started. So, what is the topic for the day? Sorry for the delay, everyone. Actually, as soon as I woke up, I saw my iPad started updating itself. I woke up around 20 minutes before the lecture, and it was updating. So finally, it completed. So I don't know. Apple is like, I will update you. I don't care how you feel. So I think the auto updates are off. Still, it updates in the night. Don't know what happens. Yeah, I know. Weather is amusing today. Very good weather to sleep in, actually. But anyway, let's get started, right? Okay, so apologies again for starting late. iPad started updating itself. But anyway, let's get started, right? Okay. So what is the topic for the day? How many of you went back and tried to code uh, the singleton design pattern? How many of you went back and tried to code the singleton design pattern? Only 5 people out of 30? What about others? Okay. Please do, please do, please do. Sure, sure, please do. Also, one more thing, one more request. I want to make the sessions more interactive. I see only a few people only interact in the chat or in the reaction buttons. I would want it if everybody can. It's a small group of 30 odd peoples, right? So I can actually have a one-to-one sort of with all of you throughout the sessions, right? So it'll be better if we can have more interactions, okay? So we'll like sort of it will be better if we have more interactions in the sessions. Okay? Chalo, let's get started, folks. So the topic for the day is builder design pattern. What is builder design pattern? Let's see. Builder design pattern. Okay. Let's assume that I have a class with a lot of attributes. Class with a lot of attributes. We have a class with a lot of attributes. Okay. Now, attributes like, for example, let's say name, let's say age, let's say PSP, let's say batch, the ID of the student, right? Let's say username, let's say grad year, let's say phone number. Okay. Now, everyone, can you create the students? How can you create the student? Like, I want to create the student object and set up all the values. What are the options that I can use? Like, what are the ways in which I can create a student object and set the attribute values? What are the ways in which I can create a student object and set up the attribute values? Parameterized constructor. Okay, that is one way. So let's say you're saying the student S is equal to new student, and here you will put like the name, age, PSP, all these things. Correct? The other way is get setters. Exactly. So you create a student with just an empty constructor, this, or student S equals to new student, and you will have, let's say, S dot set name, right? S dot set age, set age. s dot set PSP, all these things, right? Correct? These are the two ways, right? Now, the task that is given to you is the task that is given, the problem that you're trying to solve here is that we need to, first of all, we need to create a lot of student objects. We need to create a lot of student objects with attributes values, like with some attribute values, right? And number two is that we need to validate those attributes before creating the object. Okay, so what is this? What do we mean by this? See, let's understand. The point is that let's say I want to create uh, a student object and I want to validate those attributes. Now, creation of an object is an expensive affair. Like it takes some time to execute, right? And let's say if I'm creating a lot of objects and then I am validating the data, the attribute data, then it might lead to some error and we might have to dish that object, right? We might not want to use that object. So what I want to do is that in this problem statement, I would want to validate the attributes even before creating the object. Even before I create the object, I want to validate the attributes. Okay. So what validations do we want? Let's see. What validations do we want? Validations. Number one, that no student should have validated the attributes, which I'll tell you. So attribute, so for example, these are the attributes, right? Name, age, PSP, patch, ID, username, grad year, phone number. So for example, let's say if somebody is joining Scalar, you would not want them to be a uh, graduate, like college student, right? You would want them to be pass out with some work experience. So they should not be 2023. Like the grad year should be at least 2022, correct? So no student should have grad year greater than equal to 2023. Clear? Right? Number two, number two, phone number must be valid. Phone number must be valid. Number three, age should be more than 18. Okay. Anything else? Username cannot be null. Let's see. Username cannot be null. Username can't be null. So I want to check these four conditions. I want to check these four conditions, but I want to create the, what do you say? I want to create the object after the condition checks, after the validations. I don't want to create the object and then validate. I want to validate before the object is created. Okay. So basically, the point is no student object should get created before the validations are done. Okay. Before the validations are done, no student object should be created. Now, how would you do this? How would you do this? How would you do this? Where will you validate? Acha, okay. So somebody saying let's put the validations on setups. Okay, let's see this option, right? So putting validations in setters. Putting validations in setters. Okay. Now my question is, everyone, can we call a setter without an object? Is it possible to call a setter without an object? Since we can't call setter methods without an object, this solution will not work. Correct? This will not work. Okay. The other option is, what is the other option then? What is the other option then, everyone? What is the other option then? Constructor. Put the validations in the constructor. That's what you're saying? Acha. Okay. So putting the validations in constructor. Correct? Putting the validations in constructor. Okay. So let's say I want to create a student just with name. I want to create the student just with name. So let's say if we want to initialize the student object in multiple ways. For example, number one, just with name. Let's say just with name. That means I create student S equals to new student. Let's say I pass the username, just with username, let's say. And I pass the username here. What will you validate? What will you validate? What will you validate? What will you validate here? Not null. You will validate the exactly. So username not null validation. Validation will be added here. Validation would be added here. Okay, everyone. Would I need to add any other validation here? Would I need to add any other validation here? Because this is just with the username. This is just with the username, correct? Do I need to add any other validation like validations of grad year, phone number, age? All these validations should we need to add here? This is a parameterized constructor only taking username. So do I need to validate anything else? No, correct. Number two. Let's say I want to create a student just with username and age. Okay. Just with username and age. In that case, how will it look like? It would look like we'll pass with the username, we'll also pass the age. Correct. Now, what validations will you do? Username not null validation. Age greater than 18 validation. Correct? Everyone? Okay. Let's say I want to create one more. I want to create one more. Just with username and age and phone number. What will happen here, everybody? Are you trying to like? Are you able to understand what is happening? Are you able to get the problem that is arising? Everyone, are you able to understand the problem? right? You can also have object initialization with nullable params. No. So you have to pass only the correct data. You cannot pass anything else. Super. So basically, the attributes should be properly validated even before creating the object. Okay. Now, everyone, if there are, let's say, do you see this problem that is coming up with these multiple different combinations? Right? Now have all the attributes in constructor well nullable. Didn't get you, Shilpa, what you're trying to say. Lots and lots, right? So basically, let's say everyone, if there are n number of attributes, what can be the total number of constructors in that case? Can I say 2 power n? Like you'll take an attribute, not take an attribute, take an attribute, not take an attribute. For each attribute, you have two options: take it or not take it. So n attributes, total number of combinations will be 2 power n. Correct? 2 power n constructors. Does it make sense? No, right? So we'll have too many constructors, right? Also, a lot of duplicate validations will happen, right? So we will have too many. We'll have too many constructors and a lot of duplication in validation checks. Correct? Because if you see here, here I'm validating username not null. Here also validating username not null. Here also validating username not null. Is that correct? No, that's not right. That's not right. Should not do it like that. Either don't initialize it or don't or initialize it. Don't make it initialized by null. Don't do that. Okay. Everyone, are you clear on this? Are you clear on these two problems? Are you clear on these two problems, everyone? Yes, no? So do you think this is also a good idea to validate in the constructor and then do it? I don't know. No. That's not a good idea. But we don't know, and might not work everywhere, right? Okay. Anything else that comes to your mind? Try to think. Anything else that comes to your mind? Anything else that comes to your mind? By the way, do you guys know something known as telescoping constructors? Do you guys know telescoping constructors? No? Okay. So there's a term called telescopic constructors, okay? So I'll quickly discuss that. There's a term called okay, let me strike it in a bit better way. Telescoping constructors. What do I mean by this? Okay. So do you know telescope? Do you know telescope? So how does the telescope look like? Let's see, you're the person here. It looks something like this, right? It looks something like this. Correct? And like there's a ring on top of that, then there is a final ring, correct? Like it goes inside one of the rings, right? So let me draw it in a better way. Sort of looks like this. Um, this is one of the rings. Inside this ring, there is another ring, and like another cylinder. Inside the cylinder, there's another cylinder. Correct? Looks like this, right? Stand here, stand here. Okay, that means one cylinder is taking another cylinder inside it. So let's say if I have a student class, just with, let's say, 3 attributes. I'll give you the example with short attribute. Let's say just the name is there, the age is there, and the PSP is there, just 3 attributes. Then in that case, how can I create telescoping constructors? I can do public student, let's say string name, I can add all the validations and initialization here. Now, what I will do public student, let's say string name, comma int age, and I will call. So for the name, do I already have a constructor, everyone, for initializing the name part? Do you already have the name part? Yes. And what keyword do we use to call constructor or methods or attributes of the same class to refer to the same class, constructor or attributes or methods? This keyword, exactly. So you'll use this to call the constructor. You'll pass the name here and you'll do the validation, all the other things for each. Finally, public student string name int age, and then what was that? PSP. Let's say double PSP. So you will basically call this for the name and the age and the other validations. So basically, if you see here, this constructor is calling this constructor, this constructor is calling this constructor, this constructor is calling this constructor. Do you see that telescoping kind of a thing? One constructor going inside another constructor. Right? So number one thing is that what is it helping us with? It is helping you to reduce the code redundancy, right? So everywhere we are now not verifying the name. Everywhere I'm not verifying the name. Everywhere I'm not, this name verification is not here. This name verification is not here. Correct? So if I pass all three, it will call this constructor to verify name and age. It will call this constructor to verify name. Once the name is verified, it will then verify age, and then it will verify PSP, and then finally it will give you the object. So the validation is not being copied over at multiple times. Like there is no redundancy in code, but still, will we have to create all these constructors, all the possible combinations? Yes, still we will have to have multiple constructors. Exactly. Also, telescopic constructors are not a good idea. It leads to it might lead to runtime issues at times, right? So it becomes a bit confusing and might lead to runtime issues and also difficult to debug. So you should actually avoid using telescopic constructor. Okay. Should always avoid using telescopic constructor. Okay. Should always avoid using telescopic constructor. Okay. Sure. Now, everyone, my question is, so because I cannot create so many different combinations of constructors, can I? Because we cannot create so many different combinations of constructors, can we do something like this? Can we create a constructor called public student, which accepts some data structure, right? And here we can pass whatever values that we need. So some data structure using which we can pass specific attributes and their values. What data structure can we pass here? What data structure can I pass here? List. Okay. So if it is a list, then how will you know which item is what? Like what is the age and what is the PSP and what is the phone number and what is the name? Map. Exactly. We'll use map, right? Because in map I can say na age this much, name this. Correct? So what data structure will we use, everyone? The data structure that we'll use here is called map. Make sense? That means let's create a constructor of public student which takes a map of type Attribute name will be of what type? What will be the type of the attribute name? Like if I want to give the name age, name, username, PSP, all these things. Attribute name will be string. But what will be the type of the attribute value? What can I give as the type of attribute value? That can differ. Name is string, age is integer, PSP is double. So what is something that I can put which can take care of all of those things? What class can I put here that will take care of all the data types? Object class, exactly. Everyone, how many of you know about object class? How many of you know about object class? How many of you know what is an object class? Give me a yes or no. Give me a yes or no, everybody. Okay. So basically, object class is the parent of all classes in Java. Okay. And this is your, I want to map. You know hash map, right, Naveen? You don't know hash map? Hash map you studied, right? हाँ hash map only. I'm talking about hash map only. Hash map only. Same thing. Yeah. So everyone, this is like I'll ask you to like this. I'll put this as your homework. Please read about it. Okay, little bit. Okay. Specifically, those are from Java background, read a bit more. Those are not from Java background, you can read a little bit about it just to get the idea of what is the object class and all that. But basically, object class is the parent of all type. Now, everyone, if I put a parent type as the like data type, can I use all the child? Can you use all the child? Yes, exactly. Now here I can put whatever I want to, right? So I can do one thing. In this, like basically here, what I can do that okay, let's see if you want to initialize the name, you can so say this dot name is map dot get name. Correct? It will give you the value for the name attribute. Similarly, let's say this dot age is equal to this dot age is equal to map dot get age. Is that correct, everyone? Are you able to understand what is happening here? Can I get a yes or no if you are able to understand what is happening here from all of you? Can I get a yes or a no? Please be very clear about this and communicate everyone. Give me yes, no. Again, very few reactions. What is happening? Why not? Everyone is. Are you not in the class? What is happening, everyone? You're not reacting anything that I'm expecting that you're not in the class. Okay, I'll have to figure out some way to change the attendance. Like I'll get it changed. Object class, Naveen, is nothing but parent of all classes in Java. It's like the by default parent of everything in Java. Right? So object class is the parent of all classes in Java. And you know, right? If I put a data type as parent, I can use child objects as well. Correct? You remember this? We discussed list of let's say user. Then I can insert student object also here, TA object also here, instructor object also here. All these things can go here because the data type is of type parent. Yes. So if this data type is of type object, I can pass integer here, I can pass string here, I can pass whatever I want to. Correct? Correct. Polymorphism. Yes. That let's say we have already done outside in the client class and we are passing it here directly. Now, if you want to initialize the attributes, everyone, initialize the attributes, can I initialize it here using map.get? Like get that attribute, get that attributes value, right? Name, age, similarly PSP and all. And we can do all the validations here. Do all validations inside the constructor. Right? It can return Karthik, but you can do the validation. Na? If it, let's say, fails, you can throw an exception. But you're validating inside the constructor only, right? So you'll not create the object until all validations are complete. Make sense? Make sense? Everyone? Yes, no? Okay. One question. One question. Let's say somebody, by mistake, let's say in this case, somebody by mistake sent name as 25, which is actually the age. Now, what is name? What is the data type of name, everyone? What is the data type of name? Here, according to the map, what is the data type of name? According to the map, what will be the data type? Object, exactly. Everything is an object. Name is an object. Age is also an object. If we are casting everything to object, is there any way to differentiate the data types? If you are casting everything to an object, is it possible to differentiate the data types? That's one point. Number 2 point is, if I pass the age in name, and if you check is the name is not null, will the name be null if I pass age in name? No, it will not be null, no, because I'm passing something. Some string I'm passing. It can be 75, 25, or Sandeep, or 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. Some string is there. Is it null? It's not null, right? So will it pass the validations? Will it pass the validations? Yes, it will pass the validations. So don't you think it's wrong? Don't you think it's incorrect? Yes, correct. So what basically this can lead to a lot of this can lead to a lot of runtime issues. Correct. This is also not working out. This map thing is also not very clean and a good approach. This is not also a good solution. Not a good solution. Then what can we do to solve this? What can we do to solve this? I have a very simple approach in this case. Very simple idea. You know what is the simple solution for this? Very simple solution. Let's create a separate class itself. Let's create a class called helper. And what are the attributes that you want to validate? Attributes are gradier, phone number, age, username. Okay. String username, string username, int age, double PSP, int gradier. Now, is anybody stopping me from creating object of the helper class? Is anybody stopping me from creating an object of helper class? No. So can I create a helper object? Can we create a helper object? Create an helper object and then validate all the values. Is that possible, everyone? Is this thing possible? Is this thing possible? Yes or no? I'm getting 3-4 reactions. Again, please respond. I'm asking you repeatedly, guys. LLD is not a one way, it's not a DSA class. And I'll just teach, give you the algorithm, give you the code, and I'm done. It's a discussion class. So if you don't react, if you don't like interact, how will we be able to move forward? And if you want me to just move forward with 2-3 reactions and you don't understand, then I'll do that. If you are comfortable with that, fine. I'll not ask you whether you understood or not. I'll just keep moving ahead and ahead and ahead. Right? There are only 30 people in the class. If I don't feel that 30 people are also not able to connect, how would you do like lectures of 150, 200 people in the class? You would have already done, right, in DSA? So let's try to be more interactive. Right? Let's try to be more interactive. Let's try to at least invest yourself in the session if you're like, learning something. Right? Okay. What I was saying is that basically I can create a class and I can create an object of helper and then validate all the values. Right? Temporary object, you can say that, Naveen, yes. Because the only use of this object will be to validate the values that the user has passed for these particular attributes. Okay. But our main agenda is not creating the helper object. What is our main agenda? Our main agenda is creating the student object. So how many of you remember copy constructor? How many of you remember copy constructor? Can I do something like that here? Public student helper h this dot h equals to x dot h this dot username equals to h dot username this dot PSP equals to h dot PSP, and then this dot gradier equals to h dot gradier. Correct? Yes. Yes. Dinesh, you tell me. Dinesh, you tell me. Karthik, I'll come to that. Ask me this question after like some time. Get age. Huh? Oh, correct. You're right. You're right. Get age. Get username. Get PSP. Get gradier. Now, everyone, my question is, since I'm able to help validations are done in helper class. Correct, Shardul. Now, Dinesh, everyone, if we create a copy constructor, what kind of a copy is it? Is it a deep copy or a shallow copy? In copy constructor, deep copy, shallow copy. Deep copy, exactly. I mean, here you'll add all the getters and setters, right? All getters and setters will go inside this class. All getters and setters. Okay, cool. Everyone, now my question to you is, because I'm able to create the helper object, can I do basically in the setters the validation? I'll come to that, Naveen. Just hold on. Everyone, my question is, I can easily do the validations in the setters of helper. Do I need multiple combinations of constructors in helper? Do I need multiple combination of constructors in helper? No, because you are allowed to create the helper object. You can do the validation in setters. As simple as that. Number two, once all the validation pass, once all the validation pass, can I pass the helper object here and copy the data to the student? Because we already know the validation is done. Correct? So everyone, is our problem actually solved? The question statement was, you should not create the student object. You should not create the student object until all the attributes of student is validated. So is that problem statement solved? Yes or no? Mustaq, nobody stopped us from doing that, right? Nobody said that you cannot create another helper object. The only question problem statement was not, you cannot create the student object. You can not create the student object until all validations are done. So that's what we did. Add it to the helper. So simple. Add it to student and helper. You can do the validations inside the setters, Debashish. Inside the setter methods. Right. Okay. Now I'll come to this. I'll come to more details of it. Don't worry. I'll go to more detail of it. Right. Okay. Now this from here we start the builder design part. Okay. Now from here we start the builder design part. Okay. So what do we do? What we do is that we will write the code in this way. Let's say my class student has, let's say, 5 attributes. Let's assume. Okay. So it has name, age, PSP, grad year, and let's say username. Right? By the way, all of you know the difference between name and username, right? All of you know the difference between name and username, right? I hope. Yeah, okay, good. Anybody who does not know, can somebody just write it down? What is the difference between name and username? What is the difference between name and username? Exactly. Naveen, you would have seen in Instagram, your name might have been Naveen, but your handle would be extra cool Naveen hot, something like that. Correct? So I really hope that your username is not that, but just FYI, like just an example. So you might have Naveen as your normal name displaying on your profile, but your @ handle is, let's say, something like that, right? So, okay. Username is unique, exactly. Exactly. Okay. So, sir, yeah, and please, Naveen, don't take it personally. I keep making jokes with everybody in the class, so please don't take it personally. Right? Okay. Chalo, everyone, what are we passing inside the student constructor? Should the student constructor be empty? Should the student constructor be empty? I mean, should the student constructor be empty? Everyone else, should the student constructor be empty? No. What should it take? It should take the helper object, correct? It should take the helper object. Cool. And in the helper class, we'll do the exact same thing. Helper. And here we will do all the validations, all validations inside setter method. Okay? But isn't it supposed to private only, or is only if we need one position? Karthik, that is singleton, right? That's a very specific case. If you want to make student singleton, then only you make it private. Right? See, here the concept is not singleton, right? Here, if you see the problem statement, we need to create a lot of student objects, right? Okay. So everyone, how will it look like? How will it look like? How will it look like? How will the final code look like? Like in the client class, in the actual user client class, how will it look like? So public static void main. Inside this, how will it look like? It will actually look like, first you will create a helper object. Helper h equals to new helper. You'll do helper dot set name. You'll pass some value. Helper dot set age. You'll pass some value. Helper dot set PSP. You'll pass some value. Helper dot set grad year. You'll set some value, right? And while doing all these things, what will you do? You'll also validate, right? Inside the setters. Correct? So here, validations inside methods. Right? If anything fails, if any validation fails, if any validation fails, throw exception. How many of you know about exception throwing? Yes or no? How many of you know about throwing an exception? Give me yes or no. Okay. Naveen, are you like from beginners batch? Throw any exception. The versus. You can create a custom exception, throw in. So was this not covered in the language module? Was the exception not covered in language module? But okay, if it's not covered, I'll give you a small demo about exception. um, in some time. Okay. So, okay. I saw two people saying no, who saying, Shiva and Samshad. You guys are also not clear what exceptions is it? Okay. No worries. I'll discuss. I'll discuss. Anyway, so basically, everyone, you can do all these setters and all the validations, and you can throw an exception. And if no exception is being thrown, then you go ahead and you create the new student with the helper object. Is it correct? That is what we will do. Yes or no? Not here, Sumit. Inside the setter you can put, no? Inside the set name. If name is null, if age is not proper, if grad year is not okay. You can put all those conditions inside the setter methods, isn't it? Sumit. Catch it? Catch it? Catch it? So I'll show the code, don't worry. I'll show you guys the code. Don't worry. I'll show you guys the code. So are you clear till now what are we doing? We are creating the helper object. We are setting all the values inside the helper object. While setting the values, we are validating the data points. If everything goes right, I will create the student object using the helper object. Else, I'll throw an exception. Is everybody clear till this flow? Everybody clear on this flow? Yes or no? Everybody clear? Okay. Take. Okay, I have a question to all of you. Everyone, um, do you want to continue right now? Because not a lot of content is left. I can finish the session early. Or do you guys want a break? Do you want the session to finish early or do you want a break? What do you want? Okay, let's do one thing. Let's take a short break. Let's take a short break. Very short break. Let's take a break for uh 5 minutes, not more than that. So I will be back in 3 minutes and we will actually resume the content in five. Okay? We'll resume the content in 5 minutes. Exactly sharp 5 minutes. So it's 8:05 a.m. in IST. We'll resume at 8:10 IST. Okay, 5 minutes from now. Sharp. If you want to drink water, freshen up, quickly go come back. We'll resume from in 5 minutes. Okay. Okay, folks. Okay. So should we resume? Should we resume? Yes. Dinesh, no problem. I also like my name a lot. Not an issue. Sandeep also. Another Sandeep. Yeah, true. Just give me a minute, huh? Just a minute. Let's begin. So, what we will do is let's jump onto the IDE. Okay, let's do some coding. It's better if you do coding, right? Let's do some coding. Just let me know once you're able to see my IDE. Are you guys able to see my screen? What is the design pattern that we're learning today? What is the design pattern? Builder. Okay. So let's create a pattern called builder. And here we'll do this. Okay, here we'll do this. Just give me 1 minute. Just a second. Bob the builder. Huh, correct. Just 1 minute, everyone. Just need to figure out one thing. Just 1 minute. Okay, let's start. So where is the chat window that I can see? Here is the chat window. Here is the IDE. Is this? Is here? It is. Chat window is here. So many things, multiple screens, difficult to manage, but no problem. Okay. So first of all, let's do one thing, everyone. Oh, okay. Let's do one thing, everyone. Let's try to first create a student object. Okay, student class. The main that we want to do. Design pattern builder. Okay, let's create a student class. Student. Okay. So what I'll do is that I will basically add all the attributes student, right? So let's say private int ID, uh, private string name, private int years of experience, private int grad year, private double PSP, private string batch name. Okay. Now, now what we will do is that we have to create a helper class, correct? We have to create a helper class. So let's create a helper class. Now, do you know what is the actual name for this helper class? What do we call this? Like what in industry this helper class is called? Guess. Guess what is this called? Guess. Model, builder, helper, util. What is the design pattern? What is the design pattern? Builder, no. So this is the builder class. Okay. Let's pass everything here. Okay. Let's pass everything here. Now what we will do? What we will do? What we'll do is that we'll create setter for this, right? We'll create a setter for this. Setter. Yes. Exactly, Devashish. It is a standard name to give. It's convention. No, Rajesh, you can just put it builder. I'll show you why, Rajesh. Just hold on for some time. I'll tell you why it's not student builder and why just builder. Okay, I'll tell you that. Anyway, everyone, are you clear to this point that I'm creating a builder class? We already have a default constructor and all the setters are here. All the setters are here. Okay, let's do one thing. Let's create a method where we can actually, what do you say, validate this. Okay, where we can actually validate all the data. Let's create a method. Okay, where we can actually validate all the data. So, public void validate. Let's see. Okay, validate. So, how can we validate, everyone? How can we validate? How can we validate? Let's say we want to validate that name should not be null. Name should not be null. The YOE should be greater than equal to 1. Grad year should be less than equal to 2022 or less than 2023. Make sense? Let's just do these three validations. Let's just do these three validations. Is that okay? Everyone? Yes? Okay. Okay. Let's do these three validations. So what we will do is we will basically go ahead and we'll basically do what is that we will do all if name is equal to null, then throw new. I'll create a custom exception. Okay. Then I'll create a package called exception. I'll create a new exception class called uh, invalid name exception. Extends runtime exception and you create all the constructors. Okay. How do you create all the constructors? Everybody, right click. There's a generate. Can you? Okay, let me show you my entire screen. Then you will be able to understand. I think now you guys can see the entire screen, right? Awesome. So right click. You see this generate. Click on generate. Do you see the constructor? Click on constructor. Select all of them. Okay. Done. Cool. So I've created a custom exception. This is the custom exception class. This is called a custom exception. Okay. So what I'll do, I'll go ahead in this builder and throw new invalid name exception. I'll pass a message name is invalid. If years of experience is less than 1, what will you do, everyone? Should I throw invalid name exception? Then what should I do? Invalid years of experience, correct. So let's create one more class called invalid years of experience exception. What will be the like how will you create it? What's the next step? Can somebody tell me the next step to create a custom exception? Extends runtime exception and then generate all the constructors. That's it. So invalid years of experience. Years of experience should be at least 1. Okay. Last, grad year. If grad year is greater than equal to 2023, then what do you throw? Get another exception called invalid grad year exception extends runtime exception. All done, right? And inside this, go ahead and throw new invalid grad year exception. Grad year should be 2022 or earlier. Awesome. All the validations done, everyone? All the validations done? Here? Are you able to do all the validations? Okay. Awesome. Take it. It is a number, right? I think. It's an int, correct? It's an int. Nice. Yeah. Okay, sure. Awesome. So now if I go to the client, how will your client look like right now? Client will look like public static void main, uh, helper, sorry, not helper, builder. Builder b equals to new builder, right? B dot set, let's say name is Rajneesh. B dot set grad year is, let's say, 2023. B dot set batch name is, let's say, LLD. B dot set ID is, let's say, 1. B dot set years of experience is, let's say, 0. Now, can I just do B dot validate? And after this, can I create student S equals to a new student, which will take the builder object inside? Correct? Everyone, this is what we have done till now. Right? So let's go ahead inside the student and create a constructor called builder. Builder B. Builder. So builder dot, what happened? Do we not have getters in builder? Just a second. Mustaq, you can do either. You can put a different validate method or you can do that during the setters. Either is fine. Why I'm doing it validating and why do I prefer doing validate is because at one place I can see all the validations. If I have a lot of setter methods and let's say different setter methods have their validations, it will be difficult to find what validation is where. But if I create one validate method, then I'll be able to read all of them at one go. Doing either way, it's fine. Put a validate method or validate in the setters. I am preferring to use this because this is more readable. But then again, you can do either if you want. If let's say there is only one single validation, then no need to create this method. Just do the validation inside that setter method. But if let's say multiple validations are coming for setters, then write it in a method so that it becomes easy to read. Okay. So builder dot get ID. No, why is it validating SRP? Samshed? Sorry. Builder dot get multiple ifs. No, multiple ifs not always validates, right? I told you in SRP that it's not like a rule that if there are multiple ifs, it will. Basically, you have to see if it is handling the business logic or not. And here it is, right? So there's no like thumb rule that if there are multiple if else, then it's a violation of SRP. Not like that. All done? Everyone? All done? Now the point is everybody clear with this? Here. Is everybody clear? Now, you will see one thing. Is the grad year correct? Is the grad year correct? Invalid, right? Okay. Let's do a debug and see what happens. Specifically for those of you who don't know exception. Okay. Let's see. So, create the builder object, set all the values. Now go inside validate. What will happen? Name is null? No, it will not go. Is years of experience less than 1? Yes. It will throw an exception, correct? It will go inside this and it will throw an exception. Now, whenever you throw an exception, everyone, the lines of code below that, this line is throwing the exception, correct? The validate method is throwing the exception. The lines of code below the validate method will not execute. Okay, will not execute. So if you see here, if I go from this, do you see the execution stopped? Process finished with exit code 1. And if you see here, exception in thread main, invalid years of experience, and the message also is coming here. Year of experience should be at least 1. You see? Did we ever reach to the student constructor? Let's see, let's run it again. We will never reach here. We will never reach here. We will never reach here. This line throws an exception, so it will like jump the line and stop the execution. Clear? So basically, whenever an exception is thrown, the lines below that will not be executed. It will be thrown out. Okay? You might have to, but we are not yet catching it. Naveen, you can see that. Right? We might have to catch Sumit, but not here. So, but anyway, everyone. Okay, clear? Everyone here in this part? Okay. Now, let's go one by one. Now, number one thing. Since this validate is a different method, since this validate is a different method, like, can you force the user to call the validate method? Is there anybody forcing it? Like, if I remove it, will it not create the student object? It will create the student object, right? So let's see if I go ahead and add a method called toString to print the data. Let's say I go ahead and print the student object. What will happen? See, student object got created with years of experience 0. Should it happen? Should it happen? Should it happen, everyone? Should we be like, what do you say, creating the student object like this? No, we should not. We should not. So because of this, we do one thing. We do a specific thing, right? We do a specific thing. I'll tell you what. First of all, I have a question. Is this builder class, is there any use case of this other than validating the student object creation? Is there any use case of this builder other than validating the student object? Okay. So if there is no other use case, should it exist as a separate class outside of student? If there is no use of it? If there is no use of it? No, right? Okay. So what we'll do is that we will copy this entire thing and put it inside student class. Something known as inner class. I'll mark it static class builder. Have you guys studied inner class? Have you guys studied inner class? No? Okay. So basically we can have a class inside a class. Sometimes a class does not require to be in a different file altogether because there is no other use case. For example, here, is there any use case for builder other than validating for student? Is there any other use case? No. If there is no use case, why should I give it a separate file and give it its own identity? I should not, right? I should keep it inside student so I know that the only use case of this is for student. There is no other use case for this particular builder class. That's why you can write a class inside another class that is known as inner class. Okay. So let me do one thing. Let me quickly share a link with all of you. You guys can go through. It will help you to learn more on this. You can read this more. Exactly, Rajesh. Exactly. You can read from here. You can also read from here. This is the official documentation. Okay. Sure. Let's come back to the idea. Now, what I will do, I will do something unique here. Just see this, okay? I'll do something unique here. Just see this. I'll do something unique here. We'll see. First of all, is there any need for this builder static? Because it is easier to call the constructor, Samit. If you see the syntax, right? If you make it static, it is easier to call them. Is there any need for this builder class, separate class anymore? Is there any need for this builder separate class anymore? Let's delete this. Delete it. Okay. Now let's go inside the student. Let's go inside the student and let's go inside this and discuss and let's do one thing. What we wanted to do, we wanted to force the user to call the validate method. Is that correct? We wanted to force the user to call the validate method. Is that correct? Yes. So what I will do, I'll make a certain change here that will change things dramatically. I'll make certain change here that will change things dramatically. Okay. So in all the setter, I will now return the builder object. Okay, all the setters. Let's say return this. Basically, return the current object. 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 Okay. In all the setter methods, I did this. Now, everyone. Now, what I will do is I will call a method called build for ID also. ID. Acha, sorry. Thank you for letting me know this. Now, what I'll do, I'll create a method called build. Now, this get is not, is there any need for this get anymore, everyone? Any need for the get? No, right? Because previously it was a separate class and the attributes were private. So I had to use a getter. But now I don't need the getter. What I'll do, I'll create a class called public. Public. Return student object called build. And here, what I will do, I'll first call the validate method. Validate. This dot validate. And then I will say student s equals to new student. We pass this and I'll return s. Okay. And now inside the student, what I will do here, I just need the builder.id, builder.name, builder.years of experience, builder.grad year, builder.php, builder.batch name. Okay, just a minute of it. I'll come back to everything. Let me complete this. So what I'll do now, because I want the builder, I will create a static method called. Let's remove this for now. Don't need this. Create a public static builder 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 b equals to new builder and return b. Why did I create this method? First of all, because and I can make it private as well. Everyone, first of all, if this builder is inside student and it is private, can I call its constructor? Can I create the builder object? Like if this is inside the student and it is private, can I create the object of builder directly? Because here, if you remember what we did, we created the builder object, then we set all values, then we validate, then we get student object, correct? This was the flow. But can we get the builder object if the builder is inside student and it is private? Can we get that? No. So I wrote a builder method, right? Now I will show you how actually builder pattern works. And it will like look so clean and so good. Student s equals to, first of all, call the method called student.builder. Okay. Now, let's go one by one. Let's go one by one. Let's go one by one. Okay. I'll take all your questions. Okay. Just wait for a few minutes. I'll take all your questions. Now, this set. What do you want to set? What happened? एक सेकंड इसको dot हाँ correct. Let's say set ID is 1. Set batch name is let's say LD. Set name is let's say equal to Arun. Dot set grad year is let's say 2023. Dot set PSP is let's say 90%. Finally, what method will I need to call to get the student object everyone? We created here a method called build. You see, build is the method which calls the student object, validates and calls the student object. What I'll do, grad year is let's say 2022. Years of experience is 1 and then dot build. So if I just move this here, yeah. And then if I show you the data, like if I print out the student object S, I just add a question. Yes, Devashish, here's the build method. Okay, I'll go ahead and I'll run this code. All of you, can you see this data coming in? If I change anything, let's say if I make the years of experience as 0, what will happen? Should it create a student object? Should it create a student object? No. Run the code. You see the exception? Invalid years of experience. Right. Okay. Now, I'll take all your questions. Just hold on for 2 minutes, 2-3 minutes. Okay. One minute. First of all, what is the advantage of doing all this? What is the advantage of doing all this? The advantage of doing all this is, first of all, do you see how clean it looks? Like student dot set ID 1, set batch name, this set name, this set grad year, this set PSP, this set use. Like you're able to write everything line by line. You know, see how clear it looks. For example, if I would have done the same thing with a constructor, it would have looked like this. Like ID1, LLD, Tarun, then let's say grad year is 2022, years of experience is 1. Now, how will I know that this one is my ID or this one is my years of experience? Is it possible to understand this directly from this line of code? Is it possible to understand this from this line of code directly, everyone? No, right? It's not very easy to read. But here, is it very easy to read? Like set the ID as 1, set the years of experience as 0. Right? Or set this as 1. Do you see how easy it becomes to read? Does this make sense, everybody? Does this make sense? Right? So first of all, it is extremely easy to read. Secondly, we are able to validate everything even before creating the student object. So let me show you the flow. Let me show you the flow. Let's debug this and let's go with the flow. I'll discuss all your questions. Just let me discuss the flow, then I'll take your questions. Okay. So debugger lagaya. First, it will go to the builder method inside the student class. Let's go inside that. Let's go inside builder. Okay. What it did, it just created a simple builder object and gave it back. Created a simple builder object and gave it back. Okay. Now, what did this line return, everyone? What did this line return? This returned a builder object. Okay. This returned a builder object. Right? Okay. Now, on that builder object, can I set an ID? Can I set an ID? Can I set an ID? Yes, we can. Let's go inside this. Set the ID. What is this returning? What is this set ID method again returning? What is this returning again? The same builder object, right? It will return the same builder object. So it will return again the same builder object. Builder object, but with ID. Only ID set. With only ID set. Okay. Next line, it will set the batch name. Batch name is set. Again, returns the same object. What are you doing here? Builder object with only batch name set. Batch name and ID set. Right? Next, name. Setting up the name. Till now, what have we set? If you see here, we've set the ID, we have set the batch name. Now we'll set the name. Name is set, return the object. So builder object with name, ID, that's name. Next, next, gradier set gradier, builder object with name, ID, manager name, gradier. Again, set PSP, set years of experience. Now finally go to the build method. Inside the build method, what is happening? First, we will call the validate method. Everyone calls the validate method. You validate everything. No exception being thrown. It calls the student's constructor. Inside the student constructor, you copy all the values into the student object, and you finally return the student object. That's it. Done. Is the flow clear to everyone? Is the flow clear to everyone? Is the flow clear to everyone? Yes, no, from everybody in the class. I need a yes or no. Okay. There's I'll come to that. I'll take the questions on that side. But one thing I just want to clarify is this. Now you see the one advantage. Let's say I don't want to set the name right now. Let's say if I don't want to set the PSP right now. Or I don't want to set the batch name right now. Is there any problem if I don't set these? No, because every setter is returning a builder object and I can just do whatever combination I want. I can do a combination of 3, combination of 4, combination of 5, whatever combination I want, I can just do that. If I run this code, we'll create the object of student where the batch name is not set, the PSP is not set, but everything else is set. Does this make sense to everybody? Do you see the biggest advantage? Not only readability, not only validation, but also you can choose what attributes you want to set on your own. Okay. You can change. Why can you not change? Definitely you can change. If you want to do, let's say, s dot set something, you can do that. So totally doable, not a problem. Maybe. You do s dot, let's say, s dot set PSP is 90. But those attributes which you want to validate, for which you cannot change the values, you will not give a setter, Nitish. For example, you don't want the name to be null. So don't give a setter for name. Don't let it be name null. Nitish, you can add setters for the attributes which you don't want to validate. Clear? Because let's say if I put a setter for name, let's say if I allow you to do s dot set name, can you just go ahead and somebody can just go ahead and make it null? Is that doable? If I allow a set name null, right? Or even if you set it, what you can also do is that inside the setter, let's say something like this you can do. Let's say public void set name, string name. Here what you can do a validation. If name is not equal to null, then only I will do this dot name is equal to name. Else I will, let's say, throw an exception or do nothing. Don't set. Don't do anything. Or just do what else. Only throw an exception. Make sense, everyone? Here, Nilesh? No. Sumit, you will not return that builder return is happening inside the builder class, not inside the student class. That return builder will happen inside the builder class, right? Not inside the student class. This is the setter for the student. Yeah. Cool. Awesome. Validate is called inside this build, the final build that you called, right, Ranjita? Here is one. You'll call the validate. Yes. So if you want the student object, you need to call the build method. There is no other way. Just do this, right? And everyone, what I'll do, I'll make this private. If I make it private, will anybody be able to call this constructor from outside? Will anybody be able to call this constructor from outside if I make it private? No. So there is no way to get a student object until or unless you call the build method. And once you call the build method, the validate will automatically get called. Make sense? Make sense? Yes, no, everyone? Okay. Now shoot your questions. Shoot all your questions that you have, one by one. I told you to hold your questions. Now shoot your questions, one by one. Okay. So Rajesh is asking that how do I collate all these exceptions and display at once so that the data can be corrected at once? Okay. So Rajesh, what you can do here is, Rajesh, can we sort of let's say do one thing? Let's say list of string. Let's say exceptions. We could new array list. Okay. Let's do something like this. If name is null, then do one thing here. Let's remove this throw, like exceptions dot add name is null. Okay, and turn a flag. Keep a flag. Boolean flag equals to let's say Boolean exception catched, exception caught. Initially false, but as soon as you find an exception, change the flag to true. Okay. Similarly, you can maintain everywhere, and at the end, if the exception caught is true, then throw control new in that invalid attributes. Okay. And you can sort of like return this uh, string. Somebody can use the string to display the data on the client side. Clear, Rajesh? These things I am expecting you guys to think now on your own. These kind of things. You could try this on your own. Mustaq, yes, we're done. We don't have anything new to discuss. So I'll also launch the doubt session. We are done with the discussion for the day. I'll now just take doubts. Pros and cons of it. The pro is that I'm able to do three things. Number one, the readability is amazing. The readability is very good. Number two, I can validate even before creating the object. Number three, I can use whatever combination of parameters that I want. I can use 3, 4 parameters. I can use 5, 6 parameters. I can use all of them. I can use none. Depends on my validation. So I can use whatever I want to. So these are the three pros. Con is that it's a bit difficult to write. So nowadays we have annotations. You might have seen everyone at the rate builder annotations. How many of you have seen at the rate builder annotation? Yes. So you can basically, that's what this is. Builder annotation is this. This is what builder annotation does, basically. Okay. This is what builder annotation does. So the code is a bit hectic to write. That's the only con. Other than that, everything else is fine. Okay. I'll take the questions one by one. Uh, can you please explain how we can handle singleton while deserializing objects? But that's actually a little bit out of scope because the thing is, it's very specific to Java. I shared a link yesterday. Did you read that? Right, Vanchita, you're saying that I want to like not even let someone create objects of my singleton by doing deserialization and serialization. That's what you're asking? Ah, it's actually a little bit out of scope. What I'll do, I'll share a link with you on the WhatsApp group. You can read it from there because a lot of people are not fully from Java background, right? And this is very specific to Java. So I'll share a link with you. You can read that. If you're still not able to clarify, just ping me or we can discuss it in the next session. But first, I'll ask you. I know it's asked in the interview, but it's a very Java specific question. It's not a singleton design pattern question, right? I mean, deserialization, serialization keywords in Java are different compared to what they are in C++ or in Python, correct? But singleton as a design pattern is language agnostic. So that's the point. But I'll share it with you. I'll share it with you. Okay. Okay. Just a second, let me take up the questions. If we add setters and we are doing validation at two places, it may result in duplicity too. Nitesh, that's fine, but you're also giving two different use cases, right? You're like, one is the validation for creation of object, other is validation post creation of object. So there are two different use cases. So that's okay. And it's just like normal if checks. It's fine. Not a big issue. We don't do validations in main method, right? We can, Devashish. Why can't we? There's no such rule that you cannot do it or no such convention. You can do the validations inside build. You can do the validations inside a validate method. You can also do the validations on setters. Uh, it's better if you do collate them at one place and do so that it's more readable and it's easier to collate the exceptions and all that. Okay. Yes, Devashish. Obviously, you're using an annotation. So how will you be able to customize the code if you're using an annotation? Devashish, are you clear with the doubt? Like you can do anywhere, but preferred to do it inside the build method or the validate method so that all the validations are collated at one place. Just do this, what we have done. Just do this. Follow this. This is good for all scenarios. Follow this for all scenarios, it's fine. Okay. Can you modify it to use builder interface? Shilpa, what do you mean builder interface? Do you mean Java builder interface? Oh, acha, you're saying that builder pattern in interfaces? No. No, 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 no. No, not a good idea. No, no. It leads to errors. We actually see why would I want an interface? First of all, tell me that. What is the use of interface? Why? Is it a separate class? Is it a separate class with its own business logic or any other use case? Generally, in dependency inversion principle or loose coupling, we have talked that two concrete classes should not depend on each other. But they are two separate concrete classes, right? Concrete class A, concrete class B. They are independent entities. They should not depend on each other directly. They should depend on each other via an interface. But here, is the builder a separate independent entity? Is builder having any existence or independence of its own without the student? Builder will only change when student changes. That's it. No other reason builder will ever change. No reason for builder to change except the student change. So in that case, I don't need interface. Why do I need an interface? And if you use interfaces to implement builder, right, it leads to a lot of what do you say, confusion. Like what implementation we're using here, what implementation we're using there. So it's better to always stick to the concrete builder class. To update an attribute post initialization, which is validations, we can only do by getting builder object, right? To update an attribute. Uh, Rajesh, you're saying the student object is already created, and then you want to update the attribute values. Is that what you're saying, Rajesh? No, in that case, you don't need. Add setters in student. I'll just add the note. Add setters in student with proper validation if updation is required. But generally, we don't use what do you say? We don't update objects created with builder pattern. See, the question is if the object was so important, then only you validated even before creating, right? Because the object was important, that's why you validated before creating, right? So if the object was that important, I will not let it change its value. Okay, I'll not. So those who are from Java, read about two things. I'll make a note here. Um, there is something known as immutables. There's a package in Java which helps to get you builder with immutables, and there's something known as a record. It basically replaces immutable. Read about these whenever you get time. This is for Java folks. Other folks no need to worry. Uh, Sandeep, it depends on company. For example, Walmart asks in-depth Java questions in the backend round. Walmart is majorly Java. So it asks in-depth Java questions in the backend round. Right? There is one round just for Java. But if you go to Atlassian, or if you go to Microsoft, or if you go to Google, they don't. It depends on company to company. Most of the top product companies, they don't ask. But most of the startups and mid-level companies do. So I never say that don't have a grip on a language. I always say choose one language and become very good at it. You can learn more, but in one language you should know end-to-end understanding of things. It can be Java, it can be Python, it can be C++, it can be JavaScript. But in that language, you should be very good. Okay. Which round? Which round? Any other question, by the way, folks? It will come in, Rajesh. We'll do a lot of, so basically, bank may, when you do account object creation, like if I want to do a transaction, I need the account details of a user. I want to fetch that data from the database and create the account object. I will only create the account object if all the data is proper and validated. I cannot create an account object without validation. So those kind of scenarios where the data that you are creating is very important, you can use. Okay. Also, one request to all of you. I see very few people actually fill up the feedback form. We have approximately, we reach 40 people ka strength in the class. I see only 4 people filling the feedback form. Please, if you don't give feedback, how will we improve the sessions? I would want and encourage all of you to fill up the feedback form with your honest opinion. Whatever you feel, if you feel something, if you feel sessions are going great, let us know. If you feel sessions are not going great, do let us know about that as well. So, and how can we improve that? So please fill the feedback forms. Very less participation in feedback forms. I want more participation on that. Okay. What role, Tarun? What role? Okay. um, Revise solid properly and know the design patterns. And if you can go through a few LED designs, there's a good website called Work at Tech, workat.tech. You can go from here into LED and check it out. Okay, that will help. Cool. Okay, cool. Thank you. Thank you. Mandita, are you still here, by the way? If you're here, I can tell you the answer for your question. Do you know there are methods called write object and read object in serializable? Yes. You know that, right? Write object and read object. Just throw an exception inside implement the write object and read object method and throw an exception inside it. So what happens basically, whenever you mark a class as serializable and you want to serialize or deserialize the class, those methods are called to read or write the object into binary. So yeah, write object also, because you don't want it to deserialize and then again serialize. So deserialize is for read object, sorry, write object, and deserialize back is read object. So write object is used to write the object into binary, and read object is used to read the object from binary. I think that's the one, or the reverse. Let's check once. It's the reverse or whatever it is. Basically, one method is to convert to binary, one it is back from binary to object. So to serialize and to deserialize, both the methods. So in both of them, just throw an exception inside. Nothing else you need to do. Implement them in a class and throw an exception. ठीक है, अनिता? I hope that helps. Cool, awesome. Thanks a lot, everyone. Sorry for the delay in the beginning. Some technical issue on my iPad. But please go through the code of the builder. Do write the code on your own after going through the code as a revision. Please write the code on your own. If you don't write the code on your own, you'll not be able to do anything. Okay? You'll not be able to like understand this properly. Okay? So just write the code on your own, folks. Please. Okay? I'll share the code with you. Just give me a minute. Sure. Sure. Let's take it off. So git status, git add, git commit, n, builder pattern, git push origin master. One question to all the 27 folks here. Is the speed okay? Do you feel the speed is fast, slow? Okay. What do you feel? Is the speed okay, everyone in the class? Speed is good. I actually don't want to make it very slow. I want to keep you on the edge. If I make it very slow, now I feel that you will like become lazy. So I don't want that. I want you to. I will share the notes. Don't worry. After the session, I want to keep you on the edge. So the speed is not very fast, but then again, it's not very slow also. Right. Also, I don't want to increase the length of the sessions to 2.5, 3 hours. I don't like that. 2 hours is an optimal learning time. We will take shorter breaks. We'll cover everything in 2 hours. I don't want to take longer sessions, 2.5, 3 hour sessions. Right. Today no joke, Devashi. I completely forgot. I'll next class में पक्का. Okay. Sure. I'll see you guys on Wednesday. Till then, please take care, stay safe, guys, and please keep coding. Go through the design patterns. Discuss in the group. I see the group is not very active, the WhatsApp group. Let's make it more active. Let's discuss more things. Share your code with your peers. Make them review the code. Reach out if you have any questions. Tag me in the group. Whenever I see the messages, I'll see and I'll update on that. Okay. Cool. Bye bye, everyone. That's a good one, Alice. WhatsApp group का link नहीं है? Sure. Let me share. Every class I share. Still somebody is left. How? I don't have it right now. Somebody can share, please. Or Vedant, you can just check the previous session call pinned messages. You'll find it there. Okay. Sure. Bye, everyone.